which hardware do you need in order to work with your fellow musicians? Let's take a look at this. So as you can see in my little signal chain here, I start with a singer who has a microphone. You could instead take your guitar or instrument and have a different cable. I guess that's a 1/4-inch cable in that case. But now let's take the example with a microphone. So you want to connect that to your audio interface. Let's label that. And you want it to be an XLR connection. The audio interface itself is a converter, right? It takes and amplifies your signal so that that signal can be digitalized to further, use it for Jacktrip. So you might want to get an external audio interface. Which microphone and which audio interface should you get? Well, microphone-wise, I like to go for something simple like an SM58 by Shure. Simple dynamic microphone works for a lot of things. You could go for whatever you can afford. Choose whatever you feel confident with. Maybe you have one available already. Audio interface wise, I would suggest you choose a not too expensive, but maybe 2 inputs, 2 outputs interface, because you could even take 2 channels. You could have your microphone in input 1 and your guitar in input 2 or your keyboard or whatever, and then route it so that both channels get transmitted to the other side, which is a little bit advanced. But for now, external microphone and external audio interface is a good way to start, and get an XLR cable to connect your mic to the audio interface. I will put some links in the description for audio interfaces and microphones that I would suggest as like a cheap beginner option. Keep in mind that if you want to connect your audio interface to your computer, audio interfaces usually have a USB connection. So my newer MacBook has USB-C inputs. So you might want to get something like this, which is a USB-C male to the female USB, which is what you would plug in from the audio interface, right? The USB, and then that one goes into your MacBook input. All right, so now that we have connected the first 3 parts, let's go to the router modem. You want to connect your laptop with an Ethernet connection, which is simply that, if I had Wi-Fi, Wi-Fi takes a while to connect and it's sending the data over wireless, which usually adds quite a lot of latency. If you have the ability to connect to your modem or router via an Ethernet cable, please do so. What you have to look out for is that, again, my computer comes with USB-C, so I need an adapter that has an Ethernet cable connection to a USB-C connection. So then you have your computer, maybe through the adapter to an Ethernet cable, and that Ethernet cable, you can usually just plug it into one of the Ethernet inputs in the back of your router modem. So if I look for router or modem, you can see that, let's look for one here. You should see something like this in the back, and usually it has an additional, 2 or 4 inputs, and you just put it in one of them and it should be working. So now that we're set up with a cable, we're guaranteed the fastest internet connection to our modem, and really the modem is kind of the gateway to the outside world, to the internet. And now think about what happens on the other side, right? You have the internet connection that you just sent coming into your buddy. I can reverse this here. So it comes from the internet and then it goes into that person's audio interface. And from here, well, you can also connect headphones, right? And I would actually highly suggest to use headphones, because with headphones, you're less prone to feedback loops, right? Imagine I had speakers here and I would constantly get signal, maybe my own voice that's echoing from the server. It would get feedback into my microphone and then send again and get, that's the classic feedback loop. So in order to prevent that, use some headphones that you can most probably plug into your audio interface and get the connection that way. So then also your friend obviously has their inputs, and the same thing, that person also sends it from their audio interface to their computer, to the modem, and then back to the internet to reach you. And you have, again, the reversed order. So I hope this makes sense as a little signal flow overview. In the next session, I would like you to get familiar with your setup so you can test out a little bit. We'll look at the gain and adjusting, your microphone gain, so you have an idea of how to use your setup before we then jump into the software part. So see you in 2.2.